Wagwan. Hopefully you're doing well. Welcome back to another one. I'll be training push today in the dungeon, all alone, as per. I said before that I wasn't really a fan of this, that it looked like gibberish. I mean, if you walked into a mental asylum or asylum, as some Swedish people would say, you talk to one of the inmates or the patients there, you go into their cell, and on the walls you see scribbled something that looks like this, right? But it has grown on me. I don't know, I like it. There's something special about being unique by definition. You know, some people strive to be unique, and that can sometimes be a slippery slope. I've said before that the direction I want this channel to take is not the one of commonality, special, unique. I wanted to not go into the paths of describing the difference between a lat row, upper back row, and etc. But I've realized that I have time, and these YouTube videos will keep coming out. And so, taking water from the same well over and over again, it's a question of time before it, runs dry. And so I'll try not to lean into the dramatic side and the overly philosophical side today, but rather try to see if I can, deliver some value to someone out there. I've also realized that just because two people speak about the same thing doesn't mean that they say the same things. For example, you could have a relationship, right? And these two people have, by definition, experienced the same relationship. You can have one part where their brain works a bit differently, unique, and you have another part where their brain works quite well. You can arrive to two drastically different conclusions. One is lost, one is found. So there's an African proverb that says, the axe forgets, but the tree remembers. Maybe there's some application there. So as I said, just because you speak about the same things doesn't mean that you say the same things. So I'll try to deliver value, but at the same time not be repetitive and say things that have already been said thousands of times before by others before me, and to be unique in the delivery. One thing I just wanted to touch on before I delve into push. Another African proverb that I stumbled upon yesterday, that I felt has had some application in recent weeks. To some of the Swedish audience, you will be involved in the Discord that is Svensk Bodybuilding. And if you're not, then I recommend that you do, if you're interested in that sort of thing. And that Discord chat has been on ice for quite some time, as some people predicted. But and others have tried to, revive it. And it is a slow process, and it is quite dead. But I feel like we are moving in a direction where it's picking up some speed. It makes me happy. Because, as I said, this African proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, then go together. And so all I want to do with that Discord, that chat, is to make it a common resource where you can go in, you can ask someone a question, you can read through the chat and gain some knowledge and some practical application for what it is you want to do. And it makes me smile that that has picked up some speed. I feel pride in the most sympathetic way. So anyways, push. I'll be hitting some all-time numbers as per. You'll come along. So, to pick some low-hanging fruits, or as people from Trinidad would say, my father's home country, teeth mango. The Crucifix lateral raise serves several purposes. And to be frank, it wins in almost every category compared to other lateral options. Firstly, the most obvious, you have the ability to be more braced. There are things that you can do to other lateral variants to improve this metric. This is one. You have the ability to have the cables, set them where you want them, and to be able to manipulate both the resistance curve and how this force is expressed, where it falls, and whether or not it's in line with the fibers of the delt, or the medial delt. But thirdly, one thing that I think many people miss is that many people have iffy shoulders that don't cooperate well. You have pain in your shoulders, and they spend all this time doing internal, external rotations and doing all this prehab, rehab work for the shoulders. As with many things, if we just take a muscle and the entire complex to its full range of motion, you'll be ticking many boxes without having to do all this prehab and rehab work, and maybe even ticking these boxes harder. So to be able to load the entire range from down here into being in an overhead position like this will strengthen the entire shoulder complex. So those are three main points as to why this would win over many other things. That being said, you probably have more than one medial delt exercise in your program, and to just run with the same over and over again can make you run into a wall progression-wise, which is why you will see me doing different lateral raises, even though they on paper might be worse than this. It's just because one thing is objectively better doesn't mean that it's objectively better all the time in every context. So bear that in mind. There's more to programming than just looking at one isolated exercise and picking it as king. All right, intra workout supplementation. This has been spoken about at length and several others, so I won't touch on it too long. But you'll see these two objects, right? In this one, I have 69 grams of carbohydrate powder from Sky. I have 5 grams of creatine, 5 grams of glutamine, some Himalayan salts. I also have 100 mils of coconut water, 100 mils of, what's the word for it? Neurotoxicity. In this one, I have 18 grams of Intra. So the reason for these two things. When it comes to intra-workout supplementation, the two metrics that we follow and that we use to time them well is blood sugar levels and muscle protein synthesis, those two. What we know is that in order to absorb and to spike muscle protein synthesis adequately or maximally, is they want to have a rise in blood sugar and insulin levels. That's what we know. So the MPS with the Intra should really come along with this insulin and blood sugar level spike. And how do we spike those? We spike those with carbohydrates that have a high glycemic index, like a carb powder. So in order for blood sugar to rise, it has to drop. In order for us to be awake, we have to sleep. In order for us to be hungry, we have to be full, to some extent. So we have to let blood sugar drop. So to display this case, this series of events, I wake up, I hydrate, I do some steps, I have my first meal, and then I wait, I don't know, an hour and 20 minutes before I'm on the treadmill, walking 5 minutes, and then I come down here, right? And in this time, you feel yourself being receptive to carbohydrates. You feel yourself, your blood sugar dropping. You feel yourself being a bit, I need something to pick me up. That's me in the right place. And when this happens is determined on your unique physiology, but also what this pre-workout meal consists of. But anyways, that happens around 80, 90 minutes after I've consumed my pre-workout meal. So then I start sipping on this. And so that's the blood sugar aspect of it. And I also cover some of the, cellular hydration and osmotic factors in one of the posts on the Discord, so I recommend you check that out. The MPS spike that we use with the Intra, as I said, you want higher blood sugar and insulin levels, which we get with this. This comes in around 2 hours after the, at minimum, 2 hours after the last protein serving. MPS is something that has to go up and down. As I said, sleep, wake, hungry, full. We can't just sit with a product like Intra throughout the entire day. We have to rise and fall. So that's when this comes in. And then 2 hours subsequent to this or more, I have my post-workout meal. And so those are the two metrics we use when it comes to timing our intra-workout supplementation. Another thing on intra-workout supplementation, how quick we drink these is dependent on both the phase and energy levels and how we're able to sustain them with our, the rest of our nutrition. If you are in a large deficit, contest, dog end of the contest, prep that is, then you'd want your carbohydrate powder to sustain you throughout the session to not have energy levels dropping. And if you're an individual that is sensitive to these sort of things, where you spike high, you drop low, maybe it's a wise idea to spread this out throughout the session. But you want to have it quick enough so that you drop when it's time to eat your post-workout meal. The phase and or the speed at which you drink this is determined on that thing. The MPS spike that we use with Intra is not situational dependent. It's almost always a constant. Most photosynthesis doesn't really change in the length of activity and inactivity, depending on our surplus, or depending on our energy status. So that is almost always going to be at the same point, and it's just swept. As I said, the carbohydrate powder is to sustain us throughout the session, so the difference in how quick it's consumed will be different depending on where we are energy status-wise. But the Intra is almost instant. So the only reason why you'd like to sip on an Intra is maybe because you are lazy and you don't want to bring extra bottle or whatever, or just that you have enough time throughout the day to spread out your meals, your MPS spikings, that you don't really have to bother with this. Or maybe it's just preference that you don't want to drink a unflavored carbohydrate drink. But by all logical and scientific thinking processes, then the Intra should be swept within like a shot. These 3 sets will look a bit different. You'll see in the first set be more of an instigator, lower reps, a bit more of a explosive touch. Second set is a bit more continuous in its nature. So you would have seen me got like 6 reps in the first set. Increase in weight expresses itself dramatically in this movement, at least for me. Whereas the second set, I got 10 reps last time. I think this was 11 or 12. So this is what we call bollkänsla in Swedish. So Nautilus overpress / high incline. This piece is wonderful, and it gets very heavy in the shorter position. So to get it fully short, I only ever have a chance, really, if I do it first. First as in for pecs and triceps and so on. The Crucifix probably has some crossover, but not enough for it to be a deciding factor on whether or not I get it short or not. So that's why I have this first. For some people, you could get away with having it second, and in some contexts, I can too, but not in this one. So I have this first here, and I keep running it up until we have 6 plates on here. I'll be doing 5 plus 12 and a half aside, so I'm more than halfway there since last time we spoke about this, which makes me smile. So second exercise, second press, is the flex flat leverage press. This piece gets heavy in the stretch, mid-ish, so it renders itself best to either go first or to go second. In general, pieces that get heavier in the length and are more versatile in the way that you can program them. So on the one hand, you can argue that you'd like to have the most exposure to the length and position first. On the other hand, you can reason that maybe you'd like to include something like the Nautilus overpress first and then be able to use something, and this works great. So there's a bit of nuance there, depending on your needs. It always boils down to your needs. So yes, I did, the high incliner, I did 5 plus 12 and a half for 5.5. I had 4 plus 10 last week, got for 6.5. So it is what it is. Not really a win, not a loss either. On the back off, I added a 1.25 kilos aside. I got half a rep extra. That's a win. Big win. And so this I'll try to match the reps I got last time. I had 4 plus 2.5 for 5.5. If I get 6, I'll be ecstatic. Yeah. So when things get heavy, that's when you get tight. So, next press, final press for today. I have 3 sets here. Comes down to needs analysis, really. So, at the first set, I oftentimes able to get it short. So I'll do that. So as the sets go on, I will modulate the tempos of the set. So in the first set, I'll be able to control, of course, but the focus won't be on the pause in the eccentric. It will just be to keep it continuous and to progress the weights. As I said, one of the instigated type sets. And then as the sets go on, I'll spend more time in the lengthened to milk out the last, so to speak. So the press is over and done with doing the first tricep isolation. I know previously done the crucifix extensions, but when I do them, something feels off. I've looked at alignments, everything looks good. It's just difficult to progress. And sure, it's more practical to do it bilaterally, but I just feel like I get much more out of doing it single arm. So I'll do that. And then one could argue that you'd like something that exhausts the short position. But I feel like I've already done that throughout the sets, and also I'm doing a third set on the JM-press. So I'll opt for something that's a bit more length and loaded here. This exercise in some circles has got recognition from Cass and Cougar, but from other circles, it's frowned upon. See these small boys, strapping up belts, everything to optimize muscle unit recruitment. But to miss large fundamental parts in training programming and effort as a whole. The thought process behind this is to have something you can place towards when you're in the length position. So I'll try to put as much tricep on the pillar as possible, and just push. Speaking of small boys, something that brought me great happiness about 2 or 3 weeks ago was when I saw my ex-partner's new boy friend. Made me think it's all worth it. And of course, there are more things to a person than just body composition. But I know that in all other vectors of life, I beat him as well. That's just what about both. So the last tricep exercise. Overhead, put the tricep in a pre-stretch position, and then try to keep the elbow locked and just extend rather than push. Lastly, more pec isolation. Again, needs analysis. I have 3 sets here, and this is an but effective way of adding volume, adding sets, adding total work at very little cost. So at this point, oomph will be entirely diminished, especially as a black man. Muscle fiber dominance and damn things there. So a pec fly or a pec deck would be almost useless at this point. So we're something that loads in the lengthened, and this is what we have. So that's the baseline, and as the sets progress, then the emphasis will be more and more on the lengthened. So in the first set, you'll see probably do some pauses. In the second, it'll probably be straights. Then in the third set, it'll be pauses in the stretch and the eccentric. My pec is a bit tender. It's been so for a couple of weeks, so I'm not doing anything stupid.